I'm Booker, he's Niall, and we're talking.
Hello there.
Hello.
It's been a while since I've seen you.
It is nice to see you. We were talking about, you did a show for us. I'd like to say the day I fell in love with you.
Yeah, cheers.
It really was.
That's the cutest thing you've ever said to me.
You are an incredible artist, and I don't even mean this as a backhand compliment, but I wasn't a 1D fan.
Right.
And I discover you in this album, and I watch you perform live. I'm like, I didn't expect this. Has that happened to you a lot, where you get maybe someone older that wasn't a fan of the group?
Yeah. No, I'm sure it happens quite often. Yeah, like not everyone's going to be into it, are they?
Yeah.
And that can be said about any type of music, really. Yeah, I think that's why I kind of did that type of album first time around. To try and open up the audience and give them a good taster of what's to come and the musicianship and the types of stuff that I listen to and I was brought up on, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think this Nice to Meet You is a good transition of that into the next period.
Yeah. I like that you've kind of educated some of your younger fans. They know who Fleetwood Mac is now because of you. I think that's really cool.
No, me too. That's the kind of stuff I listened to all my life, and I tried to put as much of my influence into that first album as possible, and the same can be said for the next record, and the same can be said for the single. But yeah, it's nice that people, younger than me know who a band from the 70s were.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. When I hear Nice to Meet You, I sort of get like Fatboy Slim vibes,
Well, I'm glad you said that.
And
That's good.
but there's a really bluesy side to it.
Yeah.
What were you listening to? What I don't know. What were you thinking when you sat down to do this? Because it is a little different than Flicker.
Yeah, I guess I was trying to just develop the sound of Slow Hands, which is effectively like an 80s jam. And that was kind of the next step. And with the success of Slow Hands, I kind of walked into the studio, chest out, kind of, let's go for it and let's see what happens and just go to the extreme. And if we need to tone it back, we need to tone it back. But when I was going to release this, I was like, I haven't released a song in a couple of years. It's time to kind of come back and make a bit of noises.
Yeah.
Per se.
When you start to put together an album, are you thinking about all of the different sounds? How do you choose and how do you decide, like, which ones are going to be the final 15, 12?
Yeah.
How many?
I'm not sure. I haven't got to
You really
that
don't
part
know
yet,
yet?
but
Okay.
I've whittled it down to about 17. I'm going to try and drop it down from there. It's quite hard when you are like emotionally attached to songs, but then you have to get like your ignorance ears on and just be like, that's not good enough. Is that really there? Meant to be there? Blah blah blah, all that stuff. But yeah, it's tough. Like getting it down to that small number to make a record is quite hard. But sound wise, I was just going for it. Like the last time I wrote a very specific type of album, you know, and I pigeonholed myself, and easy to say that in hindsight, but and it did well. I just feel like I needed a bit more tempo and a bit more energy and show that rock influence of mine, and you'll hear songs in the record that sound kind of Brucey and with this kind of 80s 90s Fatboy Slim, I'll take that. All of this, you kind of put all your influences in subconsciously.
Yeah.
Like they're the things that I would naturally pick up, and like the main riff in Nice to Meet You it's just something I would naturally do, but that's subconsciously based on what I've grown up on.
Yeah, sure.
So I just kind of, I just play that kind of stuff.
Who do you trust when it comes down to the end product, when you do put a record together? Like, who's your go-to when you're on the fence? They're all your babies. You made all of them.
Yeah.
Who's your go-to? Do you have a go-to person, or is it ultimately you shut the door and you have to decide yourself?
In terms of picking singles and stuff like that.
Or songs, singles, album tracks, whatever.
To be fair, I had a few that I would have put out, like as a single. I think this one makes the most noise, and then I've got people I've got a very good record label, as you know, and people like Greg from my radio team, and those guys kind of know what hits hard when you're coming out, and I kind of let everyone have an opinion. Well, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but like a strong opinion. I wanted them to tell me what's good, what's not, and I prefer it that way because I don't deal in BS.
Well, let's get back to Nice to Meet You. So you get this song, you put it together, you're using the same producers.
Yep.
These guys are no joke. You got like a guy that works like with Paul
Yeah,
McCartney. I mean, Is it hard when you get someone that good that says we're doing this?
Yeah.
Is it hard for you to kind of kick back if you don't agree?
No, but I think those big producers like the Greg Kirsons of the world, as you
Yeah.
mentioned there, working with McCartney, and I mean the guy's just worked with everyone. He's won Grammys with Adele and all sorts.
Yeah.
And
You're kind of like, I'm not going to say anything,
yeah,
but
no,
it's
but
yours.
but seriously, like he works with select few artists, and he wouldn't work with them if he didn't believe in what they were trying to do themselves.
Yeah.
So he kind of lets me, I give him a fair idea of what what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We'll sit down, we'll jam out together, and then we'll start writing. And he, for instance, doesn't do a lot of the writing part, but his musicianship and his music, like, his ability is just insane. And he's one of those guys that will say something in the session that will change the way the song goes forever. And it could be one sentence.
Well, that would be my question. Is there anything that drastically changes when you're working with the producer where they say, no, let's rework this, or maybe even make it better for you? Or is it, would you just describe it as tweaks?
Yeah, little bits and pieces. Like I could be going, you're going one path, and then he'll say something, and it'll just go, "Doof," and you're like,
you're right.
How did I not think of that? I mean, that's why he's got the Grammys and I don't.
He's in it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Small talk. I love the word cheeky. You use the word cheeky to describe it. Us Americans, we can never really work that into a conversation about meeting somebody, wishing that you maybe had spent more time with them. Kind of expand on that a little bit. What the song's about to you, and is it a real experience?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of half and half. Songs are kind of like, as I've been saying, kind of like based on movies that are based on true stories, where you kind of elaborate the story to make it sound better. But yeah, just kind of based on a night out and kind of go bouncing around Soho in central London, and bumping into this particular person, and then kind of losing them over the course of the night, and then kept bumping into them again and reconvening, and the one you can't shake.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what the song is about. But the whole idea of "Nice to Meet You" just came from me shouting down the microphone, and had a microphone in my hand. We played the riff over and over again, and the beat, and I'd start singing, and that's what happened.
Where are you with the band? Are you using the same guys? Do you use different musicians? How are you going to do it? You're going to do a tour, I assume.
Yeah.
How does that work? Same guys as last time?
Yeah,
How do you work it?
Yeah, same guys as last time. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Everywhere I went on the last tour, people that worked in the industry that came along, friends, you'd be like, oh, you guys sound tight together.
Yeah.
So I mean,
For sure.
let's just stick to that.
Yeah.
And they're all great guys as well, and we all get on really well.
You did a video for this, which you had a really cool idea in putting phone numbers in it, and you could call these phone numbers and get little nuggets. If you're a fan, you should look at the video if you didn't know that. He doesn't actually pick up the phone, but it's a recording.
Yeah.
Does
I sat
that
in my car the other day doing these.
Did you,
Chatting
because
to
it is
myself.
cool when you call. He
Hello?
gives you like 30 seconds. Is that going to be the next single? Or because is there a bunch of different songs or just one? I heard one song.
Yeah, Small Talk was on that one. Yeah. I mean, potentially. I don't know. I was dropping like things about the album title and like specific songs in it, and then I was on the phone. I was giving clips of songs. I just kind of want to like start teasing stuff because the album's not going to come out for like 3 or 4 months or whatever it is. Feb, March time. So I don't want to keep them waiting too long. So I give them little nuggets here and there, letting them know a few songs, and
It's a cool idea.
yeah, just drop stuff in.
It's really cool. So I don't know. Is there? I guess you've said you haven't chosen every track on the album, but the last record, there is more of a theme of 70s and retro. Would you say there's a theme to this one? Is it more 90s like 80s, 90s? Is it a lot like this single, or do you think there's a lot of different sounds on it?
There's a few different variations of that. Yeah, like there's.
Have you found your sound yet? I guess that's the question.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
I'm
ask.
definitely on the rockier side of pop. Put it that way. And
Okay.
I'll always try and write my songs around riffs. Which a lot of pop songs aren't doing. A lot of it's just kind of melody driven. But I try and write a lot of my songs based on riffs, and that comes from the rock influence side of it. But yeah, I kind of like different variations of this, of Nice to Meet You and Small Talk, and they're all kind of like 80s grooves and hard hitting drums and big basses.
Yeah.
And like Yeah, just working on it.
You're an old soul. You should.
I know everyone always
well,
says that.
you should really like get with your people and figure out how to market you to even older people because your music is so good and it really does make someone that has knowledge of music look back and say, "Wow, someone young is actually paying attention or did pay attention."
Yeah, like I always try when I go into the studio, especially like having written a song like Slow Hands and stuff like that. I always try and, based on what's on the radio at the time, I'm always trying to like find something different.
Yeah.
Find something that stands out that with the minute the song starts makes you go, "Ooh, what's that?"
Yeah.
And I like that. I want to be the one in the charts that sounds a little bit different to everyone else.
Yeah. Well, you've
so
done it with the single.
We'll give it a go.
We'll give it a go. The tour, have you planned anything yet? How big is it? What do you ache to do bigger shows? Do you want to do smaller shows? Like, where's your head with that?
Yeah, on the first album, I obviously wanted to keep it, relatively small because it suited that type of music. Now I'll have 2 records that are starting to like ramp up tempo wise.
Yeah.
And they'll like blend together nicely. The bigger the show, the better.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love, I'm still in my head, the 12-year-old with the guitar in his hand, air guitar even, standing in the mirror in my head. I love getting out on stage and, giving the people the value for their money, I guess. And yeah, I would look like, there's obviously chats now where you sit down with, I guess everyone sits down with agent and, they see what venues are free and see what we can sell out and just go for it. I would like to think I'll be on the road by next summer. That would be the idea, let the album come out in February, March time, let it live for a little bit, then go on tour and go again. The bigger the crowd, the better, yeah.
That's interesting because you obviously your introduction into music or the business was the biggest that you could possibly have. I kind of would have thought that you'd maybe want to scale down because it is more personal and you can see the people and your music is very personal.
Yeah, no, I did that, for the last...
I did that.
No, I did that.
I'm ready to scale back up.
I did for the last couple of years. I thought sat back and I was playing theaters and it was so nice, like just standing there with an acoustic guitar and actually looking at faces who are listening to you. And that can happen if your show is done right, you can keep the intimacy even in a big room. But I was just thinking like songs like Nice to Meet You feel like they need a big crowd.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is. It's just like that gets me going. So obviously the more people that can get going, the better.
This is a tough question and it's kind of general, but what did you learn about yourself from Flicker and the time off in between to coming to this and approaching this album? What did you say, ooh, I need to do this? Was there anything in particular?
Well, I definitely learned from Flicker that people still crave that singer-songwriter thing in a world of fast-moving tracks. People still crave that, the acoustic guitar vibe and the singer-songwriter thing, which was nice, which I wasn't expecting actually.
Yeah.
And then it did. When I hear stats on what the album did and what songs did, it's just like it's crazy. It
is cool.
And then you go on tour and I'm standing there every night and I'm looking out at these amphitheaters across the States and around the world and I'm looking at. You can see, it's a case of like knowing your audience, and you look out and you can see what makes people cry and what makes people jump around and what makes people want to rock out and tear the roof off the place.
Do more of that.
Yeah, and so basically in my head I was like, right, I'm going to go into the studio and just go and write songs and not like stick myself in a specific corner or pigeonhole myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I did it the last time because it was where it worked out. But I kind of stuck myself in a specific genre and kind of stayed there. This time I was like, let's just go and write good, like what I think are good pop songs and good for live. I love performing live, so the better the live show, that will be based on what I do in the studio.
Do you ever think so much into the process of a live show where you say, I really need to write a great opening song?
Literally.
Do you think of that? And do you say, oh, I didn't have that on the last record. I'm definitely writing one this record.
No, 100%. There's a song that I wrote for this that I haven't released the name of yet that I already know that I'll open the show.
Me.
I'm not telling you.
Come on, man.
Honestly,
I need a nugget. This was a good
You've got to know.
interview.
You've got enough now.
Damn you.
I've sat there and I've written a song and I've gone, that's how we're opening the
and
show.
You know it.
I already
you know exactly how you're standing there. You know how you're walking out. I always wonder that.
I've pictured it in my head, how I'm going to sing the first verse and when, how we're going to start the show. I've got it in my head.
Okay, when you do a show, how long is it when you're, along a tour where you say, I'm tired of this formula or this order every single night. Is that a night-to-night thing with you, or is it something you feel the need to change yet?
Yeah,
I often wonder
No, I
sometimes
do.
when you go online and you see the set list and you're like, well, I could get the parking about 2 songs here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder that.
No, literally, I do. I did it probably 4 or 5 months on the last tour. No, maybe 3 months, 4 months, yeah, where I was stuck to the same set list. And then that becomes monotonous and you start moving things around. You're like, maybe that could sit there better. And maybe I was doing a cover of Bruce Springsteen and I was like putting it in different places to see would it sit next to one of my songs better. Or we actually ended up moving this song that finished the show and moved that a few earlier and put another song in its place. And you're always kind of just pick out of like for us. Because we're the ones that stand there every night doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and
but let me ask you, is it a thought during the show, like, can you actually be performing and think, this isn't working here?
yes.
Does it work? Really?
100%. You're standing
it's
there,
not
Scott.
after the fact, it's right then.
Should have moved this.
That's so crazy.
No, but that's what it is. If you're doing it most nights, and you know every show could be different because of the crowd, but the set list is still the same. So you're like, you know, I could change that. Yeah, lighting as well. You know, that feels a bit dark here. Maybe I'm too lit.
G B G.
Yeah,
lighting here. Slow hand.
Yeah, because when you go on tour and you play that many shows, playing the guitar and the singing, the words just come out sometimes.
Yeah, the muscle memory is your song.
So you're allowed to think about other things.
That's incredible to me.
Good.
It's truly incredible. I think only a musician could understand.
Yeah, you know, it's great.
That's unbelievable. The album's going to be called.
I'll tell you.
Damn, man.
It's a track on the album. It's the name of one of the tracks. It was the first thing that I wrote down when I started the album process. The first thing that I ever wrote down was this, and I still call the album.
Okay.
And it just kind of describes the album overall. So some of the songs are like, you know, after, when you break up with someone and the things that go, like the days that you have where it's like sad one day and you're like, nice to meet you.
Ups and downs. It's called
Ups and Downs. That's what it's called, Ups and Downs. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Well, this is bullshit because I'm a fan and you should be telling me. And if I see you on Ellen telling her what the album's called, I'm going to be upset.
No, I wouldn't do that to you. I'll tell her, I do. I'm going to.
How will you announce
when these cameras come over? When these cameras are off, I'll tell you. I know. I still won't.
It's fine. How will you announce it? Is it one of those things where you like take pride in saying, "Hey, I want to tell the fans first on whatever platform, Twitter, however"? I mean, do you plan that out even, or is that more of your people handle that?
Yeah. Well, you know, give me an idea. I'd like people to give me an idea of when I should do it. You know, I mean, if I'm going to bring out an album in February, you don't start blowing it in October, do you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You kind of tell them maybe after Christmas, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. But I'd like to, in the first couple of months of the year, I would like to be telling people exactly what's happening.
Okay.
I don't like, remember there used to be a whole thing, I sound like an old man when I say this because I'm only 26, but I've been releasing music for about 9 years.
Yeah,
and
you're a veteran.
Yeah, I've been through all of the streaming, all that, downloads. It's crazy.
I remember CDs.
Yeah, I remember it was nuts.
You remember those?
Honestly, remember when we used to sell loads of physical albums. But you know, like, I remember when there was a whole marketing plan. It was like teasing this and keeping things secret and all that. And I kind of people are not foolish.
The world's changed.
Yeah, they've moved on. Everyone's moved on.
It's streaming. It's hard to get I mean, even for us at radio, it's hard to get a consensus because there are so many different facets of music.
Oh,
and so many different fandoms,
Mhm.
and even if you try to get involved with your fandom, the fans may just say, "No, I'm only into you," and that's it. It's hard.
No, it is tough, but got to move with the times,
Yeah,
I suppose, don't we?
You know, we can't sit here and complain. Okay, so I got basically nothing out of you about the album. I got a February, March-ish.
Yeah.
So we're good with that.
I think that's all right. I think
our
that's
headline
pretty
is February, March-ish.
good. Yeah. Well,
and it's called something close to Ups and Downs. That's what I got.
I'm not going to lie to you. These are not even secrets. I don't even know. No one in this room knows when the album's coming out.
So in summary, you have a great song.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's out. And there's a video.
You know
out.
that.
I know that.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Everybody else knows that. I'm not exactly doing an Oprah over here or anything. You're giving me nothing. Zip. This guy is great. I volunteer any time to come and interview you.
Please do.
Watch you perform. I think you're fantastic. Thanks for the time.
Great, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good luck to you. Niall, everybody.
Yeah.